Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's take a look at today's lesson objective. So today we will create a scale bar graph. All right, let's take a look at what is a bar graph. So a bar graph is a type of graph in which an amount is shown using a vertical or horizontal rectangular bars. So here are some examples of bar graphs. These are both different ways to represent data. Now, we are going to be creating a scaled bar graph. So scaled intervals are intervals on the axes of a graph that are spaced with an equal value. So if we have a scaled interval, it's not going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to jump by an equal value. So if we see here, we have 0, then we jump to 10, then we jump to 20, 30, 40, 50. So our scaled intervals are 10. So every single one of our intervals are going to increase by 10. All right, let's take a look at this table. So over here we have a frequency table. We went over this before, and this frequency table represents the favorite subjects of third graders at Cayuga Elementary School. So over here we have the subjects, and then we have the number of students whose is their favorite subject. So math, we had 18 students said that math was their favorite subject. ELA, 13 students. History, 17 students. And science, we're not sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this bar graph that we have here, and we see that science is filled in. So let's go ahead and take a look at science to figure out how many students have science as their favorite subject. So we see this bar. This bar is going to show us how many students have science as their favorite subject. So we have that bar over there. Now we are going to go to the top of this bar. And the top of this bar is going to stop at the number of students whose favorite subject is science. So we see that science is this much. If we take this line, if we follow this all the way over here, and we see over here, this says number of student votes. So this line, this number is telling us the number of student votes that we have. So if we follow that line all the way over, we notice that it's 14. So 14 students said that science was their favorite subject. Now let's go ahead and fill in the rest of the information over here on this bar graph. So let's look at math. So for math, we had 18 students. Now at the bottom, we see the subject. So we have to find math that is labeled over here, and we need to go up to 18 students. Now, if we take this all the way up, we see 12, 14, 16, 18. 18's over here. So I'm going to go ahead and take 18 up to where my math section is, and we're going to go ahead and fill in this area right here for math as best as we can. So there's our bar graph for math. Okay, so we went ahead and completed our bar for math. So now let's go ahead and take a look at ELA. So if I have ELA, the number of students who voted for ELA was 13. So over here I have ELA. So we have to go ahead and find 13. So I see over here that I have 12, and over here I have 14. So because it's a scaled bar graph, we do not have 13 labeled on our axis. But I know that halfway between 12 and 14 is 13. So 13 is going to be right here. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and mark for ELA. Okay, so I went ahead and filled in my bar graph for ELA. So I have 13 students who voted for ELA. Now let's take a look at history. So history was 17. So let's go ahead and find 17. So this is the same thing. This is an odd number. So I'm not going to see 17 on my axis for the number of students' votes, but I know that 17 is in between 16 and 18. So I know that 17 is going to be halfway between 16 and 18. So I'm going to go ahead and label my history right there because 17 students liked history as their favorite subject. Okay, so we labeled everything for we built our bar graph. So here we created a bar graph of all of the subjects that all of the third grade students had for their favorite subjects. Okay, so now we can use this to look at different information and gather data. This is another way of representing data, a bar graph and a frequency table. All right, let's go ahead and go over today's lesson objective. So today we created a scaled bar graph. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I hope this was a helpful lesson, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.